Hi all, I'm Amber and today I'm going to be doing my weekly wrap-up for the second week of February. This week I was able to finish 2 books. I am currently reading one, and Monday I will be starting another. The first book I finished was Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the Mistborn trilogy. The first book takes place in the Final Empire, where the day is filled with falling ash and the night is ruled by the mist. Vin and Kelsier are working to try to find a way to overthrow the Lord Ruler, who has become a tyrant and a menace to the Final Empire. I really loved the writing in this book. It felt very reminiscent to George R.R. Martin's writing in the Song of Ice and Fire series, which I fell for right away. Full of adventures, full of political intrigue, and the way he builds this world is amazing. It's so complex and feels so real. And the magic system is so intriguing, and I feel there's so much more to learn from it, and I'm hoping that in the next 2 books I will see where the magic system is going to grow. The characters in this book are so well developed. They feel very three-dimensional, feel very real to me, and Vin and Kelsey, who are the 2 main protagonists in this first book, wonderfully created. I loved Kelsier. He was one of my favorite characters in this book, but Vin did annoy me to a point. I found myself feeling very frustrated with her just because she kept being mistrustful and I wanted her to trust, but at the same time I was glad that the author didn't make her have a quick turnaround, because that would have been very unrealistic. I really loved seeing her grow throughout the book and seeing how she changed, but I think it was just a bit of her personality that kind of annoyed me. And I really didn't like some things that she was changing towards, but at the same time I did like a lot of the other changes. So overall, I'm interested in Vin's character. I just find some things of her a little annoying. I think that this book is a lot about planning and a lot of political intrigue. There was a lot of times where I was wondering when things were going to start happening, and it kind of suddenly happened at the end of the book. And although I really loved the end, that crash bang smash kind of ending, I felt like not a lot was happening for 60% of the book, and when that big ending happened I knew why all the other stuff had to be, and it all came together, and I loved that. But at the same time I just wish there had been a little bit more action going on in other parts, because there were action bits there, but it was just a lot of learning and a lot of teaching and just a lot of planning for how they are going to overrule the Lord Ruler. The other issue was that I could see certain things happen before they even happened, and that was just because the foreshadowing was not very subtle, and I think that the author could have done better with that. But in another way, the things that he was foreshadowing didn't end up being the way that I assumed it to be. So I don't know, it's kind of tossed up in the air, because although I was correct about what it was, I was wrong in another way. So it could go either way. Either way, I really do like this book. It was a lot of fun to read. I love his writing, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this trilogy goes. Mistborn, The Final Empire gets 4 stars. Then this week I finished the 4th book in the Anne of Green Gables novels, which is called Anne of Windy Poplars. I am not going to talk about what this is about or basically anything. This is a reread. I read these books once a year, and I will be on the 5th book in the coming weeks. The book I am currently reading is Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and this is about Efemelu and Obenze, who fell in love when they were in secondary school in Lagos, and they were in a relationship when Efemelu leaves to go to America for university, but things happened and they drifted apart, and she becomes a paid blogger who talks about what it's like to be a non-American black woman, and he becomes a wealthy man in a newly democratic Nigeria. She decides one day to go back to Nigeria. She wants to move back, and when she does, their feelings for each other are reignited. Overall, I am really enjoying it. I am about 50% through. I found myself a little annoyed with Emilu at times. Overall, it's very intriguing to see how her life changes from being in Nigeria and going to America, and what it was like for her that first few years trying to adjust to a new world. And I'm really enjoying her writing. I am not sure about this story though, just because I know where it's going to go and I don't care for affairs, but I'm so intrigued by her life, and I really wanting to like know what's going to happen next. I wish there was more Abinze in this. I thought we were going to be going back and forth between their perspectives, but it never really seemed to happen, and I'm disappointed in that. But overall, I am enjoying it. The book that I will be starting this coming week is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Mistborn trilogy, and I'm not going to talk about what it's about, but I have great hopes for this book, considering that I enjoyed the first book, Mistborn, The Final Empire, and I am just looking forward to see where Ben and Elin are going to go from where the second book left off. That is all the books. Tell me down below if you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts on Mistborn, The Final Empire. I would love to know your opinions. Have you read any of these books? Tell me down below. And what have you been reading? Thank you guys so much for watching, and keep warm.